Hello, my name is Kevin Clay, and I will be leading you today in a webinar entitled Introduction to the CNE Matrix. Some people think that the CNE Matrix is actually the cause and effect diagram, or the Ishikawa diagram. This is not that diagram. The CNE Matrix is a subjective or a qualitative tool using qualitative scoring to understand what the key X's are in a process. The CNE Matrix is the third tool in the root cause analysis tool set. So let's move on. Our course agenda starts out today with a brief introduction to your instructor, myself, Kevin Clay, and a little bit about our firm, Six Sigma Development Solutions, the firm that's bringing you this free and educational webinar. We are then going to move into an introduction to the CNE Matrix, the cause and effect matrix. Give you a little background on this matrix and how it's used in the Six Sigma root cause analysis. We'll show you how to fill out this matrix and all of the details of filling that out. We're going to give you a access to an article that actually has all of the information we're going to talk about in this webinar, but it's written down in an article that you can access anytime, as well as this pre-recorded YouTube webinar. In that article, there's actually a template, root cause analysis template that actually has the CNE matrix within it. So this Six Sigma root cause analysis template actually has the 4 tools for the root cause analysis in it. That being the SIPOC, the input map, the CNE matrix, and the FMEA. And then we'll end today by talking about scheduling a strategy session with you, a session to which we will help you to put together a strategy of how you can become more involved, more educated, and increase your certifications within the Lean and Six Sigma methodologies. Who am I? This is a question, that I believe that a lot of my students have when I'm engaging them. Who is this person? What gives him the right to really to teach these methodologies? What is his credentials? Well, my name is Kevin Clay. I am a master black belt and a lean master practitioner. I put quotes around the word master because I don't really think there is one. I think it's more of a concept of the more that you learn, the more that you find out you don't know, and it becomes a journey of continuous learning, continuously, upgrading your skill sets. You'll see there on the screen my email address, the website of our organization, and my personal cell phone number. So if you have a question about anything having to do with these methodologies, please don't hesitate to call or email or text. May not answer you immediately, but I will answer you, as time permits. So what are my credentials? I've had over 17 years operational experience in manufacturing, distribution, processing, finance, retail sales, insurance, healthcare, IT, and nonprofits in local and state governments. So been a lot of places, seen a lot of processes, and this gives me the ability, and really gives myself and my colleagues the ability to pass knowledge when we're teaching these certification courses. We teach these concepts, these methodologies, these tools but it really doesn't come to life for the student until we can kind of back it up with stories, back it up with scenarios that we've really dealt with. Then all of a sudden it becomes, pertinent to them. And a lot of times we can actually use a story that's a similar problem that they're dealing with, because we've seen these problems in many different industries. I personally have instructed 500 plus change agents across multiple disciplines. Change agents really is kind of a placeholder for Six Sigma green belts, Six Sigma black belts, master black belts, lean agents, etc. These are all change agents. They're agents of change within their organization. I have led over 15 implementations in both domestic and global organizations. Our company, Six Sigma Development Solutions, is a global organization. We have over 50 contractors that are placed strategically throughout the globe, so that we can react to new processes, new projects as they come about. Also, we have many different companies that we work with throughout the world. So these contractors are placed strategically to be able to service those customers. I've led or mentored over 80 Six Sigma industrial and transactional projects. So I'm somewhat educated in the Six Sigma methodologies, and have facilitated over 110 Kaizen and workout projects for industrial, service, and healthcare environments. So again, been around the block a little bit, seen a lot of things, seen a lot of processes, seen a lot of implementations, led a lot of implementations, and myself and my colleagues really understand over time. We've gained understanding of truly what causes an implementation to succeed and what causes it to fail. What causes a student going for their certification to not finish, and what causes them to be motivated to get through that full certification. So we have a very high success rate both in our implementations and helping our students to complete their certifications. Let's start to understand this tool called the CNE Matrix. What you see in front of you is an actual CNE Matrix or a template, and this has been filled out. This template, I've used an example of creating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's kind of the benchmark that we're using. In filling out the CNE Matrix, our first step to filling that out is to list the process outputs. And you'll see the process outputs are highlighted in red. Actually, there's a red border around them. Now, the outputs, all right, there should be no less than 3 outputs. These outputs actually come from the outputs in your SIPOC. The outputs are the O in your SIPOC. The SIPOC is another tool that we teach in a separate webinar. So you'll see that in our suite of webinars on YouTube. So this we want to make sure that we have no less than 3 outputs, because that 3 or more outputs gives us granularity in our scoring. It helps us to get a better idea of what's important. So the outputs are given in nouns, right? 1 to 3 word nouns. Once we determine our outputs, then we need to list or rate those outputs. All right, so we give a rating of importance to the customer. And this rating is in a 1 to 10 scale. All right, 10 being the most important, 1 being the least important. Now, I give my students a few criteria to follow when rating the importance of the customer. I tell them that you have 10 numbers that you're given, 1 through 10. All right, and I also tell them that in my outputs, I really should have no more than 10 outputs. If I have more than 10 outputs, really when I'm getting to 10 outputs, I might be actually scoping my process up too high. I might be looking at too many things, too many processes. So I'd like to tell them to keep it under 10 or under. And then I tell them that when you're filling in your importance rating, you have 10 numbers, 10 numbers available to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And you can use each number only once. Right? And again, 10 being the most important, 1 being the least important. So in this case, I got 4 outputs. So I can pick 4 out of those 10 numbers. All right? So under taste, I rate that the highest. I rate that the most important with a 9. Now, 9 is gone. I can't use 9 again. Okay, so under construction of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I rate that with an importance to the customer of 6. And again, 6 is gone, and so on. So on time has a rating of 4, and 8 has quantity has a rating of 8. So we've used those 4 numbers. That to us is really the level of importance of each of those outputs. The third step of the CNE Matrix process is to then list your inputs. Your inputs actually come from your input map. You'll see here that these inputs have actually been sorted descending based on their total, which is to the right. So we've actually went a few more steps ahead. But when they weren't sorted based on that total, on your left-hand side where you see process steps, each of our process steps from our input map, okay, and the input map is one of the webinars that we have in our series, the input map or the X map. And we teach you how to fill out that X map. But each process step in that X map has a number of inputs. So you can see here that there's a process step called apply the peanut butter. And that apply the peanut butter has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different inputs. You'll see there, and I know this because I'm looking under process steps, and I see apply the peanut butter, and it shows up 6 different times. So I know that there are 6 different inputs. So those inputs are construction tools, cup measure, sandwich maker, end user requirements, peanut butter, and lighted area. So I put all of those inputs into or under the process inputs column. Again, the process step, apply the peanut butter, has 6 different inputs to that step. So I put all of my inputs in for the first step, and then I put all of my inputs in for the second step, the third step, etc. In this case, we've only got 2 steps: apply the peanut butter and setup. So once I list all those inputs, then I list their correlation scores. What these are the correlations between the input, the process input, and the outputs. Now I'm only allowed to list these scores in 4 different scores: a 0, 1, 3, or 9. So let me explain these correlation scores. A correlation score of 0 means that there is no correlation or no relationship between the process inputs and the output. No relationship between the two. One does not have an effect on the other. All right, so again, a 0 says that there is no effect from the input on the output. A 1, a correlation score of 1, says that there is a very light or low relationship between the input and the output. It basically says that the input has to happen with many other things in order to really affect the output. A correlation score of 3 says there's an average effect from the process input on the output. So in this case, the input could happen with 1 or 2 other variables to have an effect on that output. A correlation score of 9 says that there is a direct correlation. There's a direct effect. There's a direct significant effect of the process input on that output. One directly affects the other. So this is very important to us to understand what the cumulative effect of that input is over all of the outputs. And we determine that cumulative effect in a score. And that score is under the column total. So to get to that score, it takes a little bit of math, but the templates and the template that I've made available to you, and I'm going to show you here in the next slide how to get to that template. But that template calculates the total score for you. But I'm going to tell you how that score is developed. So you look at the first row under process step, and you see setup under process step, and standard work instruction under process inputs. Now, we basically, after we've filled this template out from the outputs to the rating of importance to customer to process step, process inputs, and the correlation scores, and that helps us to then populate the total. We then sort on total descending, meaning the high score at the top, lowest score at the bottom, and make sure that we sort also the process steps and the process inputs and the scores as well. So that gives us kind of a Pareto or a prioritization of our most important or significant inputs. But the score comes from in this case, the 4 different correlation scores. All right, so the first correlation score for TASTE is a 9. We multiply that 9 times the rating of importance to customer, which in this case is 9, and that's 81. And then we add that 81 to the next column of taking 9 and 6, multiplying that together. All right, and so basically what we're doing is we're cross-multiplying. And that's how we get that score of 243. Again, now the template itself comes up with that for you. I get a lot of students that ask me, okay, well, now that we have these prioritized Paretoed, which ones do we work on? Do we pick? All right, which ones do we move into the next tool, which is the FMEA, Failure Modes and Effects Analysis? And my answer is it depends. It's per company. It's what you feel comfortable with as far as resources and time to really solve this problem. Because once we move an input into that FMEA, one input can end up being 50 rows of data. It can get very big very quick. So really the can answer is really to pick, your first 5 top scores. You could pick your first 3 top scores, or 2 or 1, but usually it's about 3 to 5 is kind of the canned answer. But again, once you go into the FMEA and you put these into that FMEA, you'll see that if you pick 5 inputs, those 5 inputs could take you a long time to really understand what the effects of those failure modes are. Okay, so we've discussed the CNE Matrix really at a high level. Again, let me make this clear that this webinar is to kind of give you the Reader's Digest version of the CNE Matrix and really what it's for, how it's filled out, etc. We spend a lot of time in these tools in our Greenbelt class. So there's a lot more to these tools, and there's a lot more to the synergy between these different root cause analysis tools and how they work together with quantitative tools. So, I guess in a nutshell is what I'm saying is really, if you want to know, truly how to use these tools to make sustainable change in your organization, then it would benefit you to sign up for one of our classes. We write many articles. It's one of our goals to take what myself and my colleagues have in our head and put it on paper, put it into articles, and we make those articles available to you. You can go onto my website, www.sixsigmadsi.com, and in the upper right hand corner, click on blog, and you'll see the many blogs that we have available to you that give you information about a lot of tools, a lot of methodologies, a lot of games, a lot of stories, which will really make you comfortable with what we know, because you'll be able to see it. So here is a link to a blog called How to Complete the CNE Matrix. So basically, this is giving you the information in an article that we talked about today in this webinar. This blog also, or this article also, gives you access to a template, and that template is the root cause analysis template. Inside of that root cause analysis template is the SIPOC, the input map, the CNE Matrix, which we just went over, and the FMEA. And it's yours for free. What did we learn today? What new knowledge did you gain from this? Well, let me take a stab. That first we talked about myself, what my credentials are in teaching you about the CNE Matrix, and my company, my firm, which is Six Sigma Development Solutions. We have a team that's about 50 plus strong throughout the world. We have a lot of clients, a lot of individuals that collaborate with us, that work with us, that are our trusted friends and people that we do business with, that will sing our praises. We delved into the CNE Matrix, a great tool, a tool that is a third in the Six Sigma root cause analysis. The CNE Matrix is really a Pareto tool, a prioritization tool, to help us understand, out of all of the inputs which affect the outputs, what are the most important. And remember that the CNE Matrix is not, we're not using quantitative tools here. We're not using hard metrics, hard data. We're using subjective data. We're using tribal knowledge. And I won't knock tribal knowledge. Tribal knowledge is very, very powerful, but it will never ever be as good as true hard data. We showed you how to fill out the matrix, really at a high level, and we showed you how the matrix really works in the Six Sigma root cause analysis. So at this point, I know that this is a pre-recorded webinar, so you don't really have the chance to interact with me. But I do invite you, if you have questions, please ask those questions to me. I give you access to my email address, my personal cell phone number. So email me, text me, call me. I may not answer you immediately. I and my colleagues are, spend most of our time teaching and project work, etc. But I will get back to you, or my colleagues will get back to you. So please, if you have questions, please ask us. Now I'd like to schedule what we call a strategy session. One of our goals in our organization is to propel you, to progress you in your company, in your career, by learning these methodologies. And a lot of times, you might not know how to do that. You might not understand, well, what's my strategy? Well, let's talk about that. So at SSDSI, we have a kind of a informal model in it, as it all starts with a conversation. We would like to have the conversation with you to help you really develop your strategy. Develop your strategy to progress your career, to achieve your career goals. So we're going to ask you questions like, what are your goals when it comes to Lean and Six Sigma? Where are you at now? Where are you in that journey? Have you just started? Have you progressed? Have you got some certifications? Are you in a position that you want to move into other positions, and having these credentials, having this knowledge will help you to propel? Does your company currently support Lean and Six Sigma? Because if you get these credentials, but your company doesn't really find value, or it's not that they don't find value, it's that they might not be educated as to the value of Lean and Six Sigma. So, tell us about that. And we can help you to help your company understand what this is truly about, and really how I can help them, and how you can be a part of that transformation. So we can help you really on two sides of things. We can help your company to achieve their goals by really using these tools as a way to transform, and we can help you to progress your career within that organization as they gain more knowledge of these methodologies. So I'd like you to give me a call, or text me, or email me to schedule a 30-minute conversation. A lot of times these conversations, go over that, because our clients all of a sudden go, wow, there's so much I can do. There's so much I can learn. So, and we don't mind spending more time. So schedule that 30-minute conversation, and let us help you to achieve your goals. So I hope you have left this webinar with more education than you came in with. We hope that you will go and watch, listen, learn from our other webinars that we have in our different webinar series. And I hope to talk to you soon. Hope to schedule a conversation. And again, if you need any help concerning Lean and Six Sigma, don't hesitate to call, email, or text me. Have a great day, and I will see you in other webinars. Thank you.